Clarity isn't just a mindset, it's a system. You don't just feel clear, you build clarity like a structure. And the first brick is writing it down. Not typing, not thinking, writing by hand. Because when you write, you slow down, you reflect, you access a deeper part of your mind. And what you write becomes more than an idea. It becomes a commitment. I've seen it over and over again. Brilliant people, hardworking people, sincere people, lost in the fog of their own lives. They wake up with effort, they grind with energy, but deep inside, they're not moving forward. They're exhausted not from the work, but from the confusion. They don't lack ambition. What they lack is clarity. And without clarity, even the most powerful engine goes nowhere. I want you to imagine this. You're in a car, full tank of gas, engine humming, your foot on the pedal, but there's a catch. No map, no destination. You drive fast, you push hard, but you're circling the same block over and over, convincing yourself you're making progress. That's what most people are doing with their lives. Activity without direction, effort without a finish line, energy wasted on survival, not success. So here's what I do, and what I've taught to thousands of high performers. Every morning before the world wakes up, I sit down and write out my goals. Not in general terms, but with specificity. I earn X per year by doing Y. I weigh X pounds by this date. I speak to this kind of audience, build this kind of business, live in this kind of environment. The more specific I am, the more powerful I become. Because specificity creates clarity, and clarity drives behavior. In this video, I'm going to teach you something that changed everything for me, and for thousands of people around the world, how to create a level of clarity that becomes your personal superpower. A kind of mental sharpness so strong that distractions melt away, fear disappears, and every step you take moves you closer to something real, something meaningful. Because when you gain clarity of your goals, you stop reacting and start leading your life with precision and purpose. You might think it's repetitive. That's the point. Repetition rewires your brain. Every time you write that goal, you reinforce the neural pathway that says, this is real, this matters, this is who I am becoming. You override doubt. You overpower distraction. And little by little, your subconscious begins to believe what you're telling it. Your actions align. Your standards rise. You stop negotiating with your lesser self. Clarity is power. More powerful than intelligence. More powerful than motivation. Why? Because clarity gives your brain direction. It tells your subconscious what to focus on, what to ignore, and what to chase. Without it, your mind wanders. Your emotions hijack your time. You become a slave to your calendar, to other people's demands, to busyness. But once you lock onto a clear target, everything changes. Decisions become easier. Discipline becomes natural. Distractions lose their grip. Now, don't just write your goals. Break them down. What's the one outcome you're chasing in the next 90 days? What are the 3 habits that would guarantee that outcome? What do you need to say no to? Who drains your clarity? What environments disrupt your focus? Get ruthless. Because clarity isn't about doing more. It's about removing the fog, saying yes only to what moves you forward. That's where the power is. And this is where most people sabotage their momentum. They set goals, but then live in clutter. Their schedule is packed with obligations that don't matter. Their homes are filled with distractions. Their phones are endless portals of noise, and then they wonder why they can't focus. Let me be direct with you. Your environment must match your clarity. If your goals are clean, your life should reflect it. Fewer apps, fewer people, fewer projects, more space for what actually matters. When I first learned the principle of goal clarity, it felt too simple. Write it down, make it specific, review it daily. That's it. But let me tell you, simplicity is deceptive. What seems basic is often what's missing. Most people don't fail because they don't try. They fail because they don't define. They chase vague ideas like success or freedom or more money, but they never sit down and ask, what does that actually look like? How will I know when I've achieved it? Without that answer, you're just hoping. Hoping is not a strategy. Let me be honest, vague goals create vague results. You say you want to get in shape, but what does that mean? Lose 5 pounds? Run a marathon? Feel stronger? Without clarity, you don't commit. And if you don't commit, you drift. And drifting is deadly. It makes you feel like you're doing something, but underneath you're stuck, floating, waiting, hoping. That's the trap. And the only way out is clarity. One of the most powerful things I ever did was simplify. I stopped chasing 10 outcomes and chose 3. I stopped planning in my head and put it on paper. I stopped letting my day happen by accident and started scripting it the night before. And the results? Explosive. Not because I worked more hours, but because every hour was aligned. There was no drift, just direction. Clarity gives you emotional energy. When you wake up and you know exactly what you're building, why it matters, and how it connects to your identity, you move differently. You don't need external motivation. You don't need someone clapping for you. You're pulled by purpose, not pushed by pressure. That's the difference between people who are chasing and those who are becoming. One is desperate. The other is deliberate. So let me give you the most important question you can ask yourself every single day. Is what I'm doing right now moving me toward my goal or away from it? Simple, binary. There is no neutral. Every action either builds your future or delays it. And when you start asking that, really asking, you become lethal, focused, disciplined, unstoppable. Because clarity doesn't make life easier. It makes it cleaner. You'll still face resistance. You'll still feel fatigue. But now you'll know why you're enduring it. And that why will keep you moving when motivation dies. That why will carry you through distractions. That why will remind you, I'm not here to be busy. I'm here to become. I want you to understand, your goals don't just guide your actions, they shape who you become. If you choose small, safe goals, you train yourself to play small. You lower your standards. You settle. But when you choose bold, specific, emotionally charged goals, you activate a higher version of yourself. You start walking like someone with intention. You start talking like someone with certainty. You start living like someone who knows exactly where they're going, and more importantly, why. Clarity isn't just about knowing what you want, it's about making it unavoidable in your mind. Your brain is like a guided missile. Once it locks onto a target, it will work 24/7, consciously and unconsciously, to find paths, make decisions, and seek opportunities that align with that target. But here's the hard truth. Most people never lock in. They flirt with their goals. They hope things will change. They get inspired on Monday and forget it all by Thursday. That's not clarity. That's fantasy. Here's something you need to understand deeply. Unclear people live reactive lives. They say yes too often. They drift toward urgency instead of importance. They become exhausted, not because they lack energy, but because they waste it. Energy without direction is just noise. It's motion without meaning. But when you're clear, truly clear, your energy becomes impact. Every task has a reason. Every no has a purpose. And every day starts to build momentum instead of confusion. I've worked with leaders, entrepreneurs, athletes, CEOs, and the difference between the good and the great was never just intelligence. It was clarity of vision. The great ones knew exactly what they were building. And because they knew, they moved faster, made fewer compromises, and recovered from failure quicker. They didn't let mistakes define them. They used them to refine the goal, to clarify. Because when your target is fixed in your mind, every obstacle becomes data, not defeat, just feedback. If your goals aren't written down, if they're not measurable, if they don't have deadlines, if they don't stir something in your chest when you read them, they're not goals, they're wishes. And wishes are weak, wishes don't survive discomfort. But goals, clear goals, they become non-negotiables. They create alignment in your life. You start saying no faster. You stop tolerating nonsense. You wake up with a reason, not just a routine. I want you to take inventory of your life right now. Look around. Your bank account, your body, your habits, your environment. Everything around you is a result of either clarity or confusion. If you're not where you want to be, it's not because you're broken. It's because your vision isn't sharp enough yet. And that's the good news, because clarity is a skill. You don't have to be born with it. You can develop it. And once you do, your life begins to align fast. Think about how you've been living. Have you been responding to life or creating it? Have you been waking up with purpose or just reacting to what's urgent? Be honest with yourself, not to feel guilt, but to reclaim control. Because if your life doesn't look the way you want it to, I promise you, the first step is not doing more. It's getting clear. Let me walk you through a truth that changed everything for me. Your outer world will always match your inner world. And if your inner world is cloudy, full of mixed desires, half decisions, and emotional noise, your life will reflect that. You'll be pulled in 10 directions. You'll work hard but feel empty. You'll achieve things and still feel lost. But when your mind is clear, your goals are clean, and your purpose is loud, you walk into a room differently. You're not asking for direction. You're moving with it. You don't have to solve everything at once. Clarity doesn't mean having a 10-year plan with every detail mapped out. It means knowing what matters right now. It means choosing your direction with intention. One outcome, one focus, one step, and then the next, and then the next. That's how success happens, not in explosions, but in precision. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine waking up tomorrow and knowing, truly knowing, what your life is building toward. You look at your schedule and it's aligned. You open your calendar and every item pulls you forward. You look in the mirror and see someone who isn't wandering anymore. someone who is becoming, not by accident, but by choice. That version of you, it's not a fantasy, it's a decision away. That's when the magic begins. When your goals become so real in your mind, they start influencing your behavior. You don't wait for motivation. You build systems. You wake up earlier, not because you have to, but because you can't wait to take one more step. You become dangerous, not to others, but to excuses, to distractions, to the average version of you that used to be okay settling for less. This is the part most people never experience. Clarity creates momentum. At first it feels slow. You're defining, thinking, writing, refining. But then the moment you lock in, things begin to accelerate. Not because the world changes, but because you change. Your energy becomes focused. Your voice becomes certain. Your standards rise without effort. People start noticing something's different about you. And they're right. You're no longer scattered. You're aligned. When you choose clarity, you start becoming the person your future needs you to be. You stop settling for random progress and start engineering your results. You stop apologizing for being focused. You stop diluting your vision to make other people comfortable. You stand tall, quiet, certain, because you know where you're going and why it matters. I'm telling you this not because it sounds good, but because it works. I've lived it. I've watched people completely change the trajectory of their lives simply by defining the target and refusing to take their eyes off it. Clarity gave them strength, direction, confidence, and it can give you the same. Now, there's one more thing I need to tell you. Clarity is not a one-time event. It's not something you do once in January and forget. Clarity is a daily practice. You must reconnect with your goals constantly. Visualize them, speak them, write them down every morning if you need to, because the world is loud. People will project their chaos onto you. And if your vision isn't louder than their noise, you'll get pulled off course. So ask yourself, what are you tolerating in your life simply because you're unclear? What goals have you pushed aside because they felt too hard to define? What would happen if starting today you got precise about your health, your income, your habits, your relationships? What if you stopped chasing 10 things and chose 3 that truly matter? What if you focused with intensity even for 30 days? That's how you start unlocking your superpower. Not by doing more, but by getting clear. So here's what I challenge you to do today, not tomorrow, today. Take 15 minutes, sit in silence, no phone, no noise, just you and a pen. Ask yourself, what do I really want? What does success actually look like to me? Not what the world told you, not what your parents expect, you, your vision, your life. Let me be clear, clarity is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Without it, you're vulnerable. Vulnerable to other people's plans, to your own impulses, to the endless distractions that steal your life in pieces. You know what it feels like. Those days where you're busy but you're not fulfilled. Where you cross things off a list but nothing moves you forward. That's the cost of living without clear goals. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just empty. You don't crash. You drift and the years slip away. Then write it down. Make it specific. Make it emotional. Make it real. And once you have it, read it every single morning. Reconnect with it. Feed your mind with it. And watch how your life begins to shift. Not all at once, but consistently, quietly, powerfully. That is the real superpower. Not willpower, not talent, clarity. Because when you are clear, nothing can stop you. When you are clear, you stop asking for permission. When you are clear, you start commanding your life instead of explaining it. And that's what I want for you. Not a life of noise and distraction, but a life of intention, direction, and relentless purpose. But when you have clarity, real clarity, your time becomes sacred. You begin to live on purpose. You don't just go to work. You build something. You don't just answer emails. You execute. You don't just react. You lead. That's what this is about. Leading your own life with vision and discipline instead of waiting for circumstances to improve. Clarity doesn't wait for conditions. It creates them. Clarity of goals is not optional. It's the foundation. It's the switch that turns confusion into certainty, wasted time into results, and good intentions into greatness. And it's available to you right now. So claim it, define it, live it, and never look back. You want to know what separates people who rise quickly from those who stay stuck for years? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's direction. They know what they want. They know what they're willing to give for it. And they eliminate anything that doesn't move them toward it. That's why they move faster. That's why they seem unbothered by things that derail others. It's not that they don't feel temptation. It's that their vision is stronger than their excuses. And you can have that too. You just have to decide, Decide that vague isn't good enough, that I'll try isn't a plan, that someday is a lie. Decide that from now on you will be crystal clear about what you want, when you want it, and what it takes. That you won't chase every shiny idea. You'll follow one clear mission, because that's how success is built. Not through a million directions, but through focused execution in one. There's something sacred about clarity. It's not just a tool for productivity or a technique for goal setting. It's a form of self-respect. It says, my life matters, my time matters, my potential deserves direction. When you walk through life unclear, it's not just inefficient, it's painful. You second-guess everything. You hesitate. You overcommit. You allow confusion to dictate your emotions. And slowly, your confidence erodes. Not because you failed, but because you never knew exactly what winning looked like to begin with. Think of every high achiever you admire. Entrepreneurs, athletes, leaders. What do they all have in common? Obsession with clarity. They rehearse their vision. They know their targets. They track their progress daily. They don't just dream, they define. They don't just work, they align, and that's what makes them powerful. Because when your goals are clear, your confidence becomes unshakable. You don't hesitate, you move. You must understand this. Unclear goals don't just waste time, they steal your identity. You start defining yourself by busyness instead of progress, by effort instead of execution. You tell yourself stories like, I'm trying or I'm doing my best, when deep down you know you're avoiding the real work, the work of defining, deciding, and committing. And maybe that's been you. Maybe you've achieved things, but they didn't fulfill you because you never stopped to ask, did I want this? Did I choose this? Or was I just available for it? That's the pain of a life built by accident. You hit targets that never mattered and feel empty when you do. That's why clarity isn't just a performance strategy, it's a soul strategy. It brings you home to yourself. Now let me speak directly to the part of you that's tired, that's been pushing but not progressing, that's been working hard but wondering, why am I still here? Maybe it's not more hustle you need. Maybe it's not a new routine. Maybe it's just clarity. Maybe you've been busy building someone else's idea of success. Maybe you've been saying yes to things you never wanted. And that's okay. You can forgive yourself for that, but you don't have to stay there. From this point forward, every day is a chance to recalibrate, to write down your goals again, to define them more clearly, to ask yourself, is this really what I want? Is this aligned with who I want to become? And if the answer is no, have the courage to pivot. Have the courage to admit you've outgrown your old vision. That's not failure, that's growth, that's wisdom. Let me tell you something else no one talks about. Clarity feels lonely at first. When you get clear, people will push back. Not because you're wrong, but because your certainty threatens their comfort. You'll say no more often. You'll protect your time. You'll cut out activities, people, and habits that used to distract you. And it might feel like you're isolating yourself, but you're not. You're distancing yourself from mediocrity. You're drawing a line between who you were and who you're becoming. And eventually the loneliness fades and is replaced by peace, focus, pride. You'll look around and realize you don't need constant validation anymore. You'll know deep in your bones that you're moving towards something that matters. You'll sleep better. You'll feel lighter, not because life is easier, but because your mind isn't constantly spinning in 20 directions. And that mental stillness is where the breakthroughs happen. And when you align your daily actions with your clearest goals, something incredible happens. You gain momentum. Not the kind that burns hot and fades, the kind that compounds, the kind that builds legacy. You'll wake up with direction, move with intention, and rest at night with peace, because you know you're living exactly the life you chose. Not one handed to you by default, one designed by clarity. When you're clear, you become predictably powerful. People will start to ask you, how do you stay so focused? How do you know what to do every day? And you'll smile because you know what they're really asking is, how do I escape this fog I'm in? And you'll remember the moment you made the shift, when you stopped waiting, when you picked up a pen, when you wrote your goals, when you committed to being the architect of your own future instead of a passive participant in someone else's. That's the shift I want for you. Not hype, not hustle, not another motivational video that fades in 2 hours. I want you to decide right now that from this moment forward, you will never again allow your life to drift. That you will build your vision on paper before you build it in the world. That you will revisit it, revise it, and live by it, even when no one's watching. Because the people who win don't just dream bigger, they get crystal clear, and then they move, they speak less, they execute more, they don't waste energy on things that don't serve the mission, and slowly, almost invisibly at first, Their life starts to transform, one choice at a time, one habit at a time, one intentional day at a time. And then one day you look back and realize clarity didn't just make you more productive. It made you more you. It revealed your values. It shaped your character. It gave your life direction, depth, and meaning. And isn't that what we're all chasing anyway? Not just goals on a checklist, but a life that makes sense. That feels right. That flows from who we really are. So here's your final challenge. Take control. Don't leave your future up to chance or circumstance. Get quiet, get honest, get clear, because once you do, you'll never go back, and the rest of the world, they won't know what changed, but you will. You finally decided to live by design, not by default. That is your superpower, clarity.